Welcome back, nerds. It is the WCS Open qualifiers for Oceania and Southeast Asia for the Montreal tournament. I'm back here with Maynard and Pig. Once again, gonna talk a little bit about our next match, our first ZVZ of the day. It's gonna be Demi versus Crimson. Maynard, who's gonna win? Tell me.
Dude. Too hard to call. It's too hard to call. Why are you going to do me like that? Put me out in front of all these people to tell you who's going to win this series? How do you call this one? I mean, Crimson's been looking better and better every tournament. So is Demi Love. He flew down to Australia to actually compete in a live event and performed extremely well. I think he made top 8. It was a really amazing showing, and he gets better every time I see him. So I casted one of his replays on my channel the other day, but it was a very memey game. So that was the last Demi Love game I saw, and you can't really glean where they are at the moment from a meme game like that. So, and it also wasn't a ZVZ. So this is a big question mark for me, honestly. To call this one is going to be tough. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that know these players like a lot better. Maybe they're in Discord with them and they chat to them and they ladder all day, and they could probably give a little bit more information. I mean, Pig, have you heard a whole lot from the Demi or the Crimson camp on how these players are looking right now?
In ZVZ, especially not. You know, I do occasionally get to match against Demi. Crimson, I think, pretty exclusively ladders on Korea for the most part for his practice. So I, occasionally get to catch a little bit of the Crimson stream, and Crimson's a player who, yeah, he's interesting because him and Demi do kind of hover, I think, at a very similar average level in terms of performance, but Demi is maybe a little bit more standard than Crimson in terms of how he does play his Zerg versus Zerg, but it's weird because I feel like both players have these moments where they just suddenly look very inspired in their play. But it's not the same consistency of a Seether or a Probe, definitely. But very easily in this matchup, one guy could stomp the other. One guy could come out swinging, just knock him down very quickly. I'm hoping they both come out having a good day today. We get a really good match because I think it will be very closely matched if they're doing that. And I kind of tend towards Crimson being just a little bit trickier than Demi. Demi being a little bit more straightforward. Like, I want to do some mass roach. I might wall off with some evolution chambers and a roach warren to do a 2-base roach play. But we'll have to see what the players have in store.
Yeah, I mean, I've been catching a bit of the Crimson stream as well. And when you talk to him and you talk to Demi, Demi is out for blood. He's like, you know what, round 1, give me Seether. I'm going to knock him out. He's always out for that Terran blood. I know what it is. But he seems fairly comfortable with his level of play at the moment. Crimson, on the other hand, gave me a more measured response when I asked how he feels about WCS. He's like, probably top 8. Don't know about top 4. And, he's very... I think he undersells himself, to be honest. He's been top 8 7 times in total. Demi 5 times. And I think that's only because Demi's a little bit newer than Crimson. But you're absolutely right. Like, they are pretty much on par as players, and it's hard to say who's going to come out on top. Demi, having been in Korea, might give him that extra boost. Who knows?
I mean, it feels like whenever someone goes over to Korea, they really level up to the next phase of Super Saiyan. You know what I mean? Like, Showtime being the biggest example of someone that's flown over there, and then all of a sudden, like, he's on BTSL 3-0ing innovation, 3-0ing, I think it was stats as well in his group. Stupidly amazing victories, and then he goes on stage, he beats Zest 3-1 at GSL versus the world, and it's like, all right, who are you, and where's the original Showtime? Where did he go?
Yeah.
But it's just a guy leveling up incredibly well. I mean, obviously it's worked out for a lot of players. Even Scarlet leveled up as well back in the day, and I'd imagine that a bit of that Korean practice will be helping out Demi. I think from memory, Demi wasn't super happy with his time in Korea though. So I don't know if that factors into how his practice was looking. Maybe he wasn't too happy on how he performed when he was playing in tournaments from there. He thought that maybe he'd do a little bit better in a bit more of a practice environment, in that player house and that sort of thing. But I really think that he's going to have to not pull any punches here against Crimson, which is a very, basic white caster thing to say. But it's just Crimson is extremely solid. He's been around for such a long time for a good reason. Is because he will consistently make these deep finishes in tournaments. And this is a match that we may even be seeing again tomorrow or even later in today's broadcast, because these guys are a huge threat to that loser bracket as well. Like I very much expect them to go the whole way through.
Absolutely, yeah. These are definitely people to look out for. And it is today, you know, we want to see who our top 16 are tomorrow. And that seeding is something that you definitely want to grab, so you're not getting, you know, the heaviest hitters first round, because that's always going to sting. But we are loading into Lost and Found for our first map, guys. In fact, we are finished. Let's hop on that Insano cam and get the first game underway, folks. In the top right. He's in the blue. His name is Demi.
Yeah. And in the bottom left, he's in the crimson. He is Crimson. Representing SYF. A long-term brand here in Australia. Well, guys, I think this is the first Zephnard cast in like a whole season of WCS.
Man, it could be up to 5-6 months. Ooh, I don't even want to say that.
Surely not.
I was not here for the last season.
Tell me we're not that bad at being friends. No. You were... Oh, wait. Oh, that was Austin.
Yeah.
That wasn't Valencia. Oh my God, it's been 2 seasons of WCS.
Man, we're terrible friends.
We're falling apart. Oh my God. Don't make me cry, Zeph. This is game 1 of the best. This is the early days of Saturday. Don't you dare. No, that's right. Luckily, I'm too manly to cry. My tear ducts don't work, so it's all good. It mirrored openings here from both players. The gentleman's opening here in ZVZ Hatchcast Pool.
Good.
All pretty regular stuff. But of course, this can turn into aggression at some point, depending on if a player wants to drop a Baneling Nest. Maybe they feel like they take a good Zergling engagement and they want to, favor a few more extra Linglongs instead of getting them drones out. A lot of options here in the early stages of ZVZ off the back of this opening.
Yeah. And I really like this because both these guys can play an awesome Roach Ravager macro game, heading into lurkers or with the muta switch or whatever. And that's the ZVZ I actually really like to watch from a lot of these players, because some of them, it ends up being a masterclass in how to do mid to late game ZVZ. But, on the other side of the coin, we do sometimes have those super aggressive openings, especially, it's kind of weird. There's some seasons that all the Zergs just pick to cheese the hell out of each other every match. I'm getting the vibe that maybe this isn't that season, but you never know. It is only the first game of the first EVZ, but happy to see a little bit more of a relaxing introduction to this mirror.
Well, we see Crimson actually take most of his drones out of gas there in the main base, and it looks like Demi doing the same thing, just to get a little bit more income to drop that third base at a very regular time here, just before 3 minutes. But there is going to be Baneling Nest here first from Crimson. Demi Love probably, I was going to say soon to follow, as they're just doing the exact same opener here. Both players, same amount of queens, same amount of links, same amount of everything. It is a mirrored build and a mirrored mid game and a mirrored matchup. Well, I mean, it's still early game, but mirrored early game.
Yeah. This is a part of the game where it can get pretty cool, because the idea is that you want to put a bit of pressure on your opponent for having a third base, but you also kind of need a few links to defend your own, because they're probably going to do the same thing to you. So we see the Baneling Nest coming up. We see a few lings in production for Demi. Crimson hasn't really gone for much more than the initial 6 he made. Demi may sort of spook him into making a couple more, but it does have the potential to stay pretty tame here. They both might go like, all right, let's just agree. Let's just drone up our thirds. Have a nice calm ZVZ well into the mid game, get set up, and then we'll turn up the heat.
And I like the Crimson's just keeping these lings sort of, just sitting in a pair to go in the main base and check whether or not Demi Love's like getting extra gas or going into a lair or something like that. And speaking of that extra gas, that is coming home for Crimson, dropping that Roach Warren in a sneaky tucked in position there to try and pull a fast one here on Demi Love. Demi Love hasn't actually been keeping on top of his scouting for the most part. He's just relying on Overlord vision, like he knows about the third base and he knows about what's at the front of the natural, but he hasn't been diving in deep. He hasn't been doing what Crimson's been doing, Just to be vigilant, but yeah, you know, you're giving up 1 or 2 attacking units, but you're not scouting. But as I say that, Demilov just sends in that Ling, sees the Roach Warren go down, and knows exactly what he's up against. His extra gas is going down as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what he hasn't seen is given him a bit of information as well. He hasn't seen a flood of Lings. He hasn't seen a bunch of Roaches off 2 base. So he's going to put a bit of pressure on right now with these Lings. It's not that many, but almost gets... he did get 1 drone. Almost gets a second one. And Crimson morphs a few Banes. Not wanting to make too many more Lings. Rather invest that into Roaches right now.
Yeah.
As he starts pumping out a whole lot. And
yeah.
a bunch of Lings. Demi following suit.
Yeah, I mean, this just looks like a great big committed attack here from Crimson, of course, as all those Lings come out. The Lings are actually swinging past those Banelings and catching the Queen in, but it looks like Crimson's kind of like heading towards an all-in anyway, so he may not even come home to deal with this, or even just use reinforcements. He is just rallying units across the map here, Zeph. Ravager's being morphed at the front lines, and he's going for that big attack. Now, Demilov is also getting +1 attack, so not only will he have a defender's advantage, a shorter reinforcement path, he'll also have more powerful Roaches in a few seconds here. He's got some Banelings. Can he get those connections that he wants?
He's got more Roaches here as well. Crimson's not finding the damage that he wanted. The Banelings didn't really help. And the Lings that he's rallying across have to regroup with the rest of his army.
Jeez.
He needs to keep up the heat here because he's made so many units. But he hasn't found the damage that he was looking for.
I think Crimson's just realized that he's like, oh, if I commit to this, I'm 100% going to lose. So he's like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to go for this big aggressive maneuver. I'm going to make him make a bunch of units, drone up back at home, and solid and make my defenses a little bit more solid. You see these rallying in a few more Lings here, probably by accident, but he is also seeing the position of Demilov's army. Like, is he coming at me? Is he still expecting an attack? I see that Demilov's droning now. The Crimson has been droning quite a bit, and it's going to make up for those losses that he had earlier. As Demilov was attacking that 3rd base while he was rallying all of his units for a big attack. And then he's like, all right, you know, I have a freedom here to be able to get up those drones. Demilov's still at home, and let's try and shake off that you know, unsuccessful attack and try and have a bit more of a solid mid game here, as both players are about to have Lair done. Lair already done for Crimson, Lair nearly done for Demilov. I was about to say, where is that Roach speed for Crimson? It's the first thing you want to get in ZVZ when you're going for this composition, I feel. And he's just getting it now.
Yeah, Demi's just got such a nice position. Would love to see him go into that +2 the second that Lair finishes, and I'm sure he'll be thinking about that because he'll keep the upgrade advantage, and attacking with the +2 would be real sweet. Although that said, he is actually after the Carapace as well, so that is also a solid choice. He's going to even add on a second Evo. And Crimson back to turning out a few Roaches. He did saturate that 3rd base, and they've now got even drone counts. But Demi's just a bit... He's got a bit more stuff in every regard. He's got a 4th base earlier. He's got 10 more Roaches. And he's probably just feeling a little bit more confident right now, knowing that Crimson's attack really did not work the magic he was hoping it would.
I think Crimson's going to go towards tunneling claws here as he gets Burrow on one of his hatcheries. When Glial Reconstitution finishes, he should probably go towards tunneling claws. Pretty powerful thing to add to your Roach army. It can give you an edge on the other player. It feels like Demilov might be heading towards Lurkers soon, though. He's getting +2 attack, and I'm wondering if he's going to pull the trigger on that Hydrodan or if he's just going to remain on Roach Ravager. A lot of Zergs that, you know, especially European Zergs, love that Lurker play in ZVZ, and I know that Demilov does practice a lot on Europe, but at the moment, it's just heavy Roaches, but double upgrades for Demilov, so he's going to have a very, very powerful army.
Yeah,
and there's that tunneling claws.
So good. Yep, you called it. And that can be a nice little nasty surprise for Demi when he comes to engage Crimson the first time and the hurt Roaches aren't really dying, especially if he doesn't have an Overseer with his army, which he currently does not because he used the one he made to scout. But also just to do that multi-prong, you know, borrow a few Roaches, send him into the main, send him into the 3rd. Now, this is going to be interesting, though, because they've gone around each other. Demi's actually decided to pull back, and that 4th base is going to go down.
Very nice 1-2 punch here from Crimson. He gets that hatchery kill here while he gets his 4th up back at home. And even though he gets cleaned up on that run by, he is pulling Demilov's army all the way back, which is fantastic. If Crimson stands and fights, though, it might not go well for him. Demilov has the units and he has the upgrades, Seth.
but he's taking Biles to the face at the same time, but with the sandwich from Demi, Crimson's units are basically ringed with blue, and he has to pull out of there. The reinforcements there even having to pull back from that ramp position. Now Crimson still has a 4th base, so that's a nice little advantage for him. He's going to start these burrow tactics, but guess what? Demi just in time morphs an Overseer.
He certainly does. And Demilov also got Overseer, I mean, Overlord speed as well earlier. So his Overseers are very, very fast, which means that this Roach Burrow play can actually be countered pretty nicely. And now that he's, Crimson's shown his hand, Demilov can spread these Overseers out, maybe even put him in Sentinel mode for the extra bit of vision, just to make sure his mineral lines are safe. And he is going towards Lurker Tech, as I kind of felt like he was going to here with that faster +2 attack and that little bit of an army advantage. You want to push that advantage by going up to those Zerg siege tanks. And the Lurker really is the get the hell out of my game unit here in ZVZ when your opponent doesn't have an answer for them.
Yeah, Crimson's going to need to find out about those ASAP, because if you come in for an engagement and your opponent has Lurkers all of a sudden, they burrow in front of your face and you're like, oh, wow, I actually can't even come near you right now. And then they can slowly choke you by using those Lurkers to sort of push you back, mold you into the position that the opponent wants you. So let's see how we go. He's going to start with some drops. One is going into the main. At the same time, Crimson trying to slither into the 3rd base while the main armies circle each other. A lot going on right now.
Nice Harry Potter reference. Going into that natural there, but like I say, Overseers from Demilov are in position there in Sentinel mode. Crimson once again got his eyes on the prize here at this 4th base. I think he's going to get it too. Demilov has a lot of his units trying to stop the burrows, and there's that cancel. Nice play from Crimson, but I really don't want him to overextend here. Also, Demilov, that Dropper Lord had 4 roaches in it, and they are decimating the drone line in the main base of Crimson.
Yeah, I think he had to pull out of there. 6 drones going down for Crimson, 5 for Demi though, so they are trading blows here. Demi pulls back to try and deal with these roaches, but there's a few more in the main that can pop up for a pleasant surprise in just a moment. Crimson swings around. He's looking to get into that 3rd base, but the Lurkers are now here, and if Crimson gets too close, he's going to take a lot of knives to the face.
He certainly is. Crimson's getting his own Lurker Den back at home, but he doesn't have them out just yet. It's going to take quite a while. The Lurker Den takes a while to finish. Also, he doesn't have any Hydras, but this is a nice usage of Burrow Roaches. They managed to get past the sensor net of Demilov. They get 6 more drones. Demilov's still with a drone advantage, though, but considering he's only on 3 bases, he's not really getting maximum yield from that worker count. So it's actually Crimson with the income advantage.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to mention. He's now got 5 bases. He's not mining from the 5th just yet. But these tactics from Demi are really what's keeping him in the game along with the Lurkers, because if Crimson's got such a good economy and he also gets up to that Lurker tech, the one thing Demi had going for him is kind of gone. He's only just now retaking that 4th. So it looks like he's going to march out across the map now with his full army. And let's see if he can do something to Crimson, maybe take out a base, get a good army trade.
He needs to here,
and in a second.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, he absolutely needs to do something here because of that economic advantage that Crimson has had for a while here. Obviously, the tech advantage is still in Demilov's favor. The Lurker Den's not done yet, but Crimson is actually going for a faster hive. Now, if he gets the hive up, gets a Spire, gets that into a greater Spire, and we get in a super late game ZVZ rather, then, I mean, even if he just uses the hive to get adaptive talents, then he's going to not only have the econ advantage, but the tech advantage as well. So it's really sort of, there's a lot of great possibilities for both players here, but this is certainly a very close match so far.
Be nice for Crimson to get that +3 attack on those units. He'll finally have an advantage in that sense, because Demi is still on 2-1, whereas Crimson hasn't bothered with the armor. He's actually pulled out of position, looking at the roaches heading into his 3rd. He's got to trust in his spines for a second while he peels off some roaches. Okay.
Whoopsie daisies. Yeah, that was an easy hold there for those Lurkers. Now, Crimson is going to hold up here to the north, and Demilov did get deflected at the south-hand side. So Crimson did not take too much economic damage, but he did lose a bunch of roaches for free. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, but you know what? He was maxed out.
Yeah, I was going to say, thankfully, I think Crimson didn't really care about the lives of those roaches anyway, as nasty as that is to say, because he just wanted to get better units out.
And exactly as you say that, he's getting those Vipers few lurkers in the mix now for him too. Demi's actually gonna make a lunge for this south base, and Crimson's just not quite in the right position to deal with it, but the Burrow Roaches could be awesome to locate the lurkers. Going straight past. No, don't walk into that. The lurkers, his own lurkers are on the front lines. He loses so much here.
Oh man, the Overseer of Crimson was a little bit late to the party. It doesn't have that extra Roach speed, and the Roaches just face tank a bunch of Lurker Spines. Demilove with a huge army advantage now is just collapsing all over this fourth base of Crimson. Crimson's trying to attack the third of Demilove back at home as well with some Roaches, but both players are going to take insane damage, and right now Demilove is the one holding all the cards. He's got those Lurkers, and he's heading straight in for the throat of Crimson.
Oh goodness, Crimson's going to have to find a way to regroup. These Blinding Clouds could be the answer. The Lurkers. Oh, he's right on top of them. He is still taking a bunch of fire from them at the back, though, and he loses everything. GG, Demi takes the first match. Oh my goodness.
Yowza, that was a bum clencher right there. It really looked good for Crimson for a lot of that game, but the unfortunate maneuvers is how I want to frame it here in front of those lurkers is what cost him that one for sure.
Oh yeah,
it's a little bit of missed micro there. And you know, and Demilove's just like, yes, please keep face tanking into my lurkers while their +2 attack just shreds all your roaches. Which, by the way, never had +1 carapace either. You know, Demilove's roaches had a little bit of extra tankiness to them, and hydras as well. So, good maneuvers with the borrowed roach play from Crimson, but in the end, Demilove just too strong.
Oh yeah, that was really well played by Demi. He never lost his cool, even when things were looking pretty pear-shaped for him. And he was able to use that lurker advantage really, really well. I mean, I thought Crimson was maybe burrow moving those roaches under the lurkers he had sitting there because Demi didn't have an overseer in position. But not quite. It turns out that Crimson also didn't have the vision that he needed at that point in time. And it's always much worse for you if you're the one walking into 10 lurkers. So,
yeah, I mean,
an unfortunate one. I bet that stung.
That's why I call them the Zerg siege tanks. Is that you just if you walk into a line of them, you're just like you look back and you're like, hang on, there was an army here before.
Yeah, it's just a gory blood splatter on the ground instead.
Yeah, that's right. So gory. ZVZ is the bloodiest matchup in StarCraft. Well, we're going to get into game number 2 shortly. It's going to be on Acid Plant. Or Acid Plant, depending on which part of Australia you come from. So, this map, Zeph, in the 500-plus ladder games that you've played this season, how have you been enjoying ZVZ on it?
Thanks, my dude. Love
you
you
know
too.
what? Hold that thought. We're going to count down. Don't worry about it. We'll talk. We don't want to talk about ladder all the time, Zeph. We don't need to fill time here. We have Demi Love and Crimson game 2.
Yeah.
So you can just take a back seat. We'll save that ladder story for later.
Okay. Thanks. Unfortunately, all my ladder stories are not looking so good at the moment. Yeah, let's not bring the mood down with the tragedies of ladder.
Oh God, I stream all my ladder games as well, so it's not like I can be like, I can't go, yeah, it went well because there was like the 200 people saw it go not well at all. Anyway, in the top left here, not playing Crimson in this game, sporting the blue trunks. This is Crimson. Confusing enough an opening for you? You're welcome.
And in the bottom right, with a SIG victory in the last game, it is Demi.
Certainly is well spotted. Demi Love showing his ZVZ muscles flexing in front of Crimson there towards the end of that game. Extremely good at this matchup. Like I mentioned, primarily Demi Love's practice has been on EU ladder. He's an Indian player based from India, plays from home for the majority of his career. Or we mentioned that he has gone to Korea for practice. But in the many, many years he's been playing this game, it's been a lot of EU ladder. So I think a lot of people out there that agree that are aware of the climate of StarCraft 2 ladders is that the EU is basically where all the amazing Zergs are at the moment. Korea has some great Zergs, but there's Su, there's Dark, there's oh god, I'm brain farting on the other guy. Oh yeah, the world champion Rogue. And then there's a whole bunch of other Zergs that aren't quite up at that level yet. But on EU ladder, you got the big name. You got the big guy himself, Cyril. You've got Elazer, Nurchio, Snoot. The list goes on. Like all these guys are previous champions or just extremely high. 6.8, 6.9 MMR EU ladder Zergs, and that is a great environment to get better at ZVZ.
Yeah, yeah, it's the place to be, man. No one's really got an answer for the European Zerg style, really. They're just like, what? How is Zerg broken? LOL. But these guys, they've always had something special though. Their Zergs. They've just got a different approach, and it's scary. So when the rest of the world starts to take notice and emulate those styles, I don't know, maybe we'll see a return to the Zerg domination that we once had in our region. Although it looks like the Protosses are having their day at the moment.
Oh, it's the Terrans at the moment, that Hut and OCE-SEA there. Oof. Those guys have been, I mean, Hut was a guy that hadn't really, won many big tournaments. I think he won one ACL back in the day. Was it Brisbane one time? Did he won one of the last? It was like it was towards the end of ACL, one of those Brisbane ones. I think, or maybe he was top 2. It's hard to remember because they all had King Kong, and King Kong won every single one of them. So,
I miss King Kong.
I miss King Kong as well, but we, since coming back from like a year, maybe a 2-year hiatus from Hut, it's hard to remember how long it was, but it was a very long hiatus. He is really amazing now. Like Hut is an incredibly good Terran, and Caesar has just been the guy that just popped up and it's just gotten better and better every single season.
Yeah, both those guys are going to be really hard to overcome in tomorrow's games. And I'm very interested to see if they're still, trashing everybody that they meet. But I think, once again, we'll have a good mix of players and hopefully a good race distribution. And it always helps when, Zergs are sort of killing each other in the, what is this, quarterfinals? This game opened very similarly to the last one, so we've just been talking a bit of nonsense while things start to heat up. But now we're seeing a more aggressive turn. Both players making a bunch more lings, making some big lings. Oh my god!
Oh my god! Crimson just actually could have won the game right there. Both players moved commanding both past each other, but unfortunately for Crimson, he missed out on the ability to erase Demi Love from the map. Fortunately for Demi Love, his lings survive unscathed. And we are having a bit of a Bane War scuffle, as Zeph just mentioned.
Yeah, a little bit of back and forth. It's always tricky to find the right angle and always a bit spooky to even A-move across the map, as we just saw. You can have some real close calls. 5 Banes out for Crimson here. Still Demi similarly looking for where to put his. He could get a really nice trade here. Last minute split from Crimson does save 3 of the Banes. But both players are right up in each other's grills right now. Not quite able to find too much damage, just mostly trading small groups of lings with Banes.
It's been pretty open trades for the most part here. Demilove's getting into the mineral line of Crimson, but with a good drone pool and a Queen help out there, he only loses 2 drones. That shift click there is delaying a little bit of mining time, but not the biggest of deals here. Crimson still turning up the heat here in the front of the 3rd hatchery of Demilove. His Baneling trades have not been amazing, but he's been connecting with Zerglings all right at that 3rd base. You see 2 Banes for 2 there, not the biggest deal. Demilove still making Banes, but both players also droning behind this, so they're not, they're not taking it too seriously. There is a transition out of this.
Yep. And Crimson trying to rally in, does take a Bane hit, clears out the lings on the right-hand side. Demi got a lot more lings on the field right now, it seems. So Crimson, he can keep poking, maybe wants to morph an extra Bane or 2. Even defensively, just in case, but they're both kind of sneaking in a few more drones, a bit more tech behind this, starting to get into that gas. Is Crimson having not yet dropped a Roach Warren.
Yeah, I was wondering what Crimson's going to go for here. I'm wondering if it might actually be the Roach Warren or if he goes for Spire. Now, he only has 3 gases, so maybe the Roach makes a bit more sense. Yeah. He's also only got 1. He's got the Evo Chamber going down. I mean, this could be for like Ling melee upgrades or Ling Carapace. No, but it is going to be the Roach Warren in the lair there. So, yeah, I mean, usually if it's muted on 2 base, it's going to have all 4 gases taken. A nice scout from Demilove as well, by the way. Wow, he's really good with his scouts.
Yeah. I think Crimson, they've actually kind of flipped builds from this point, because last time Demi did a similar thing. He invested into that +1 upgrade before even bothering with a Roach Warren. So seeing a similar thing from Crimson, although Demi has still managed to get that upgrade a little bit earlier than him. So there'll be a small window where he can try and push the issue and take advantage of that. But I think Crimson's going to be a lot better positioned this time to go toe with whatever Demi throws at him.
It's hard to go toe-to-toe with Demi. The guy's like 6'7".
No.
Well, got a nice catch there, getting a queen. A lot of damage happening here at the third base of Crimson. He's trying to get a fourth up onto the top right-hand side, but he's got to deal with this cleanup first. Man, lots of drones dying here, actually. Crimson's still with an all-right economy. He's down by 5, but here come the Banelings, though!
Ooh, not quite able to get the right hits, but it's already too much.
Yeah.
GG.
He's just completely out of position, and it just ends just like that with Demi Love with a 2-0. Bit of an unceremonious end to what began as a great series. Unfortunate there for Crimson.
Yeah, I did not expect it to go that way. Not gonna lie. I mean, Demi, obviously so in form, always looking good, always getting better. He's a tough guy in ZVZ, I feel. He's actually one of the dudes you really don't want to hit. So valiant effort from Crimson, but Demi will move on. Very well played to him, and his reward is to play against Probe in the quarterfinals. I don't even know where we are. I'm lost.
Winners bracket quarters, I think.
Yeah. Winners bracket quarters.
Yeah, upper bracket semis. So that's the quarters overall, I think. If there's that, that's how that works out.
Overall, yeah.
You have that.
Yeah, with double elim, I always forget what things are called. But
double elim is a bit of a tricky tricycle, but we can get there, Zeph. We've done a few double elim tournaments in our time.
You'd think I'd know by now, but sadly not. And on the other side of the upper bracket, we have Azure going up against Mia Micah. So TVZ sitting down there, which would be pretty awesome. And I believe that's actually going to be our next match on the stream.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. And me and Pig presenting that one. Well, I guess as this series comes to a close, we're just going to take a short break. But when we come back, going to be in more StarCraft action for all of you guys. Once again, before we take a break, shout out to McDonald's for supporting our local scene, being gods for 2 years in a row here to the StarCraft 2 esports community. And when we come back, more games. We'll see you then.